Hey everyone, welcome to Limitless Radiocast, episode 25. Stick with us today as we hang out with a good friend who was once a law enforcement officer and he gave that career up to open up his own brewery. Also, go out there and check out rollamongus.com to get a 20% discount on all your fight gear needs. They have gis, rash guards, fight shorts, t-shirts. Go out, check them out. Remember, at checkout, Limitless20. We also have battlebomb.com. Go out, put in Limitless20 at checkout for a discount. Get all your creams, anything for those muscle aches, those tweaks. You're going to need some Battle Bomb. Go check them out. Great products, great stuff. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today, we're hanging out with a good friend, fellow Team East Coast Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu teammate, Jay Graham. He not only trains and practices in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he also is the owner and operator of a brewery in Akron, Ohio, Magic City Brewing Company, which we're proud to announce that we've teamed up with him, and he is a proud sponsor of Limitless Radiocast. Let's see, what else? Also, let me throw this out there too. Everybody, go out, rollamongus.com, Limitless20, 20% discount on all your fight gear that you want or need for no gi, get standard kimonos, lanky kimonos, all that good stuff. So don't forget. And what else, Chad? Am I missing anything else?
We just hooked up with Battle Bomb as well.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Battlebomb.com. Also go out there. They have a slew of CBD products of rubs, all muscle compounds and everything like that to rub on you and whatnot. And you get another 20% discount, man. Limitless 20. And teamed up with them guys too.
Yep. CBD and they have non-CBD stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Both. Okay, awesome, man. Go out there, check them out. So, without further ado, Jay Graham, homie in the house. Thanks, man. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it very much.
What's up, buddy? It'll be a good time.
Yes.
It'll be a good time.
It will be fun and exciting. For all you guys also that don't know, and Jay will probably get into this, I'm sure. Jay used to be an LEO.
I was. Best decision I ever made was walking away, but also like the hardest.
Sure.
So,
what was that like, man? Like when you...
Which part? The doing the job or walking away from it?
A little bit of both. I mean, when you walked away, was it just something that was like an accumulation of going, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore.
So, law enforcement in general is an interesting career, but I think anybody that's actually doing it, that's doing it and doing it well. They're probably good at the job, but the job's not good for them. As in, like, it's me, my wife, we have 2 kids. At the time we only had 1, and I spent more time away from my family than I did. I spent more time away from my family because I was always at work. You know what I mean? So I missed my son's 4th birthday party. I actually left to go do a SWAT call out that we ended up not even doing. So I spent it in the back of a armored vehicle instead of with my family and stuff like that. And that's not right. It's a weird way to try and, be a family man and all that. And
sure.
It just wasn't conducive to how I wanted to live the rest of my life. So I gave other folks 10 years of my life, and it was time for me to focus on what was important to me. So I ended up walking away, doing the brewery thing. My wife was pretty big in helping me get that squared away. And it kind of worked out to where we are today.
Sure. That's awesome though, because that's a huge decision, and it's not a easy decision. Chad and I have talked about this all the time, that, you have to do what's going to make you happy. Chad's alluded to, changing a logistics job early on, and to do the gym, to do jiu-jitsu all the time, or to train people and to, give them confidence and teach them, different things, and doing something that he loves. And I try to tell people all the time, like, if you're taking away from things in your life that you don't want to take away from, then you have to make a change. You have to do and no money's going to matter, because if you're not happy every day, then what's the purpose? What's the point?
I just had that kind of that talk with one of my kids. I have twin boys that are 17 and going into be seniors in high school. They're thinking about what they want to do. And one does want to go into law enforcement. We'll see, how that works out. The other one's just like, I don't know what I want to do, and we had a talk, just me and him the other day. And I'm like, coming from me, who, like Terry said, was in logistics, made good money, and I think people put too much self-worth on how much they make. Right.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? And he's just in that, like, of course he wants to be successful. And, I want him to be successful and make money too. But I'm sure we all know a lot of people that went to college for 4 to whatever years, spent a lot of money and don't even work in that field. Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
I know. I'm
not gonna front anybody out by name, but there's a lot of guys that I used to work with that are at the gym. Then there's a couple of them that are real close to retirement. And I know you guys have probably heard me ask, like, hey, how close are you? And, they're going to hold on. They're going to hold on to a job that they probably either don't really want to be at anymore because they're just done. They've been done for some time, but they're going to hold out because they've got, whatever the retirement benefits and all that stuff are, that's going to outweigh the actual enjoyment of their life. And that's not good for anybody.
That's not good either.
No, it's not a good place to be. It's not a good place to mentally be, more than anything. And there's another thing when it comes to law enforcement. Nobody, that the conversation about mental health and law enforcement is finally getting talked about, but at the same time, with everything else that's circling law enforcement, it's never, the LEO is never going to get looked at as fairly as the people on the other side of the line.
Yeah.
And that's kind of unfortunate.
That is very unfortunate.
You're going to hear, you'll hear about the mental health of the suspect of whatever heinous crime before you will be, the after effect of said incident with that individual officer. And that'll never get talked about.
And it's super unfortunate too, because you have, all our, service members and any branch of service members, and mental health has become a huge thing in that area. And it's we all know people who have served, and they're able to, it's on the forefront now. Everyone's like, oh, that's a real thing. Well, it is interesting, Jay, that you bring it up. It's like, yeah, LEOs don't get that, and they deal with it for years and years and years. And it's not like, hey, I just did a tour. Not that I'm not trying to take anything away from anyone who has served or anything, because it's all the same. But when you're an LEO, it's constant. It could be a 24/7 for 25 years type deal, like a constant mental thing. You know what I mean? So it is unfortunate that it's not the most forefront thing of being looked at. It's like, oh no, well, this is what they signed up to be. And it's like, well, no, they didn't sign up to have to mentally be beat down all the time and go through this and see this all the time. No. It's not cool. But
I get asked all the time, like, oh, because I worked in Cleveland for a little bit. I worked at the county a little bit. And when I worked at the county, I made sure that I was not going to stay in one spot long, meaning the county, you could, you work in a couple different types of jails at the time. You could have different jobs inside the jail. You could do patrol. You could go to the courthouse. You could work like extra jobs like at Blossom and stuff like that. So I tried to work like all over the place, but you're never going to get away from one big thing, and that's the public. And as awesome as the public is at times, like, there's also some real shitbags there. And
right.
You're going to have to deal with them just as much as you are the others. But, I've got hundreds of stories that we could sit here and talk and we'll laugh. You know what I mean? I'm sure some of you guys have just heard it on the mats, but you give me 5 minutes and I can have you question everything you think about life. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's just, anybody who's done that job even for a year will have the same same type of thing. Yeah,
that same outlook. Like, it's just let's say a different world, but it's a different world. The
firefighters have the same thing going, if not the same. They have the same stuff going on, but a little bit different.
Right. Yeah. My grandfather was a firefighter for 25 years in Plain Township. And when I was a kid, we heard stuff all the time, and my grandma's still with me today, and she can tell me stories all the time, because she would always take out like food and stuff to them when they had big, huge things going on. She was always like the den wife or whatever you call them, so.
Yeah. I was on the job just over a year. And I know a mutual friend of Chad and I's now had brought this up. I had found a dude with a guy that I was working with. We had gotten a call for a guy that couldn't get his foot off or couldn't get his shoe off. And he took a 3.5-inch Cutco steak knife to his ankle, as in he cut his own foot off.
It's
cut
insane.
His own foot off high on PCP. Like, no, I'm not kidding about that. As in, we got the call, showed up to the address. You could smell the wet PCP. It's super stepped on, whatever. But you go in, you find the guy is literally sitting on the floor with a 3.5-inch steak knife, just whittling it between the bone of his ankle to where his foot was barely hanging on. And then if that happened on Monday, he's out of the hospital by Friday, and other officers had gotten a call to that same address. The dude was high as shit on the same stuff again.
Wow.
So
Man.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy. So if for everyone out there that's not watching this on YouTube, actually all three of us go to the same tattoo guy. we all have from Jason Hanley. And a few weeks ago when I was doing my last session on my arm, Jay, he brought that story up, and he knew we were going to be sitting down and talking. So he was like, "You got to ask Jay about the guy who cut his foot off." And I'm like, "What?" So he started telling me that story. So
I have a picture of it somewhere, and I meant to look for it just to say, "Hey, I have it," but like it's not. It was, yeah, man. Like I'll remember that day for a long time. Like I'll probably forget my birthday before I'll forget that.
That's the stuff that's not going away. And again, it alludes back to like what you talked about when we, started talking today, is like, that sucks, man. Like, you guys shouldn't have to like see that or remember that stuff all the time. I mean, it's no different than being in it's an everyday war zone in life on this side of the fence or in our own borders, let's say, like here, it's like, oh no, I get to see this stuff, not every day, but I see it once, but then everything is an accumulation of that. So, man.
So the other side of this though is not going to say this guy's name either. But there's a guy at the gym who's retired in the last 6 months, I believe, from a smaller community. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know anything negative about the guy, but he was an upstanding officer, did everything he had to do to serve his community. And when he left, the community like embraced A, that he was retiring, and B, also celebrated it. That's if more officers were treated with the amount of respect that individual was, I think you'd see, I think you'd see a lot better outcome.
Sure.
Of the individuals as a whole, but
being embraced, that's definitely spot on for sure.
But that's also, he came from a small town community as well.
I was just going to ask that. I'm assuming a small town community does that a little more often, right?
Yeah,
possibly.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, even with some of this stuff, like law enforcement's not innocent in all of this either. Like they do some own things, especially from the top down. From the top, they do some things that doesn't paint them into a good color or into in a good light.
Sure.
A big saying, at least at the two departments I was at, was you can always tell who's getting promoted because they just got screwed. They just screwed up. You know what I mean? As in, they got a DUI and they were a sergeant, and now they're a lieutenant. Stuff like that. So.
Gotcha.
There's problems the whole way around, but yeah, man.
But then you gave that up and you moved into what some would consider the greatest job ever for those who like to consume carbs and great taste.
Yeah. The brewery's been a crazy thing, man. I always kind of like the quick explanation of how that happened. I was like 18, 19, 20, somewhere in there. I know I wasn't 21 yet. And I had a couple buddies bet me that I couldn't, like we were sitting around having a beer and I was like, I think I could figure this out. And they were like, nah, you can't. And I'm like, all right, bitch, I'll figure this out. So I did a couple of beers at the house, and I'm sure they were trash at the moment. But, I kind of always had that floating around in my head, or was always thinking about it. And then a couple years later, I took this chick out on a date in Cleveland. I think I had to go to court or something like that, and she had the day off, and we ended up going to the grotto at Great Lakes Brewing, and I had just said like, hey, I know like this much of what's going on. And she goes, oh, well, like it'd be cool if you kind of like pick that up again. And, you know, here we are. We're at like 8 years later, we ended up married, kid, and all that stuff like that. It was time for me to walk away from law enforcement. Well, what are you going to do? We always had kind of like talked about opening this brewery, and well, fuck it, let's do it. So me, her, my partner Brian and his wife got everything together, did a little Kickstarter thing, which was kind of a more of a what's the word, marketing thing. Got that going. We opened in Barberton, Ohio, where I grew up. That was short-lived. We were only in town in Barberton about a year and a half, 2 years. I think it was just about 2 years, but we ended up moving into Akron, and that's gone super, super well. You know, we just did our 4th anniversary, July, the first weekend in July. That went really, really well.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, man, it was super cool. Like, I don't what I thought the brewery was going to be and what it is are two very, very, very different things. Like I didn't realize like anymore to call myself a brewer. It's kind of a joke. Like I do it, I'm there, I try and help, but I'm more so everybody's gopher or the like, hey Jay, this is broke, go do that. Hey, I need this, I go get that. Hey, this is screwed up, I go fix that. And then like, hey, such and such trucking agency is going to be here at noon. Then they show up at 3:30 and we have people coming through the door. The other guy that works for me, he's gone. Like you're always chasing the never ending rolling ball.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. And people hear, you know, you're the owner of it. They think, oh man, yeah, he just, you know, people don't realize what goes into that, right? Like,
oh yeah,
the stuff you deal with on a daily basis.
Dude, people think that all I do is sit around and get hammered. It's actually quite humorous.
Right.
And quite opposite. Because every time we talk at the gym, like, and you know, we're all friends and you know, social media contacts and whatnot. And I'm always like, like he's a man that never stops. Like Chad and I have talked about it before. It's like, no, Jay's always got his hand in something, man. He's always got something he has to do. Even with that, we did I've had nothing but trouble for 4 years with t-shirt printing companies. They drive me nuts. I'm not going to use anybody by name, but we got to the point where I was just sick of dealing with them. So I called my partner up and I'm like, hey, can we do the screen printing thing? He's like, I'm pretty sure we can figure it out. I'm like, cool. Like buy 2 of everything. And he goes, well, what's my limit? And I was like, well, what do you think we need? And he gave me whatever number and I doubled it. And I said, I'm not kidding, dude. 2 of everything. I want it sent to my house tomorrow. So we ended up putting a screen printing shop in the basement. And that's been super lucrative because the amount of money we have in shirts now is super low. We control all of it. We're getting ready to start doing hats and stuff like that too. I printed, one of my gis and I'm got one of Chad's printed. I just got to wait till I get home because we're in West Virginia right now. But when I get home, I just got to look at it and make sure it dried fine. And then I'll bring it to you this week. But yeah, either way, like that's so awesome. Yeah. Like it's, the whole thing is very, like I said, it's much different than what people would think. But you keep yourself busy. Like you're in it. You're not just like, hey, I'm just going to do this and then sit back and let other people like rake in things for me or whatever. Like you're part of the process. Like some people are like that. Some people want out business, but then they don't want to work real hard to make it successful, or they don't want to do the dirty work.
Yeah, you could definitely delegate all that if you wanted to.
Right.
You know, or find somebody, but you know what I'm saying?
You know, but even if you do that, like I guess I didn't bring this up at all. You know, we've never, up until we just bought this new canner, we've never messed with a bank, you know, so everything's been out of pocket, and you've been able to tell, like there's been some for real Band-Aids put on a lot of stuff around the business, or especially in the first like 2 years. Sure. Like the first, like we started super small. So I was turning the brew house around like 6 times a week, which is crazy to do because we were literally brewing beer 1 barrel, which is 31 gallons, 1 barrel at a time. Excuse me. But, you know, we got that banged it out of the way. And then, within a year we had bought the 3-barrel system, which was an upgrade, but it's still, especially for the amount of beer we go through a week, that's still a fairly small system. Then we got, bigger tanks. We, because of the pandemic, we had to, get used to doing cans. Like when we bought our first canner, the goal was to use that maybe once a month, not, 2 or 3 times a week like we had to this time last year. But once you got the cans out of the bag, you can't go away from not doing cans. So yeah.
So with doing all those cans and everything, when is it gotten better now?
Are you talking about in-house sales or can sales?
Like, because I know we've talked about this before, and the can stuff was like bananas. Like it was just.
Yeah, dude. So I don't really understand I'm sure it's just because you can take it wherever or what have you. But the demand for cans is like ultra high, and we sell out of basically anything that we put out in can format because of the amount that we put out. It'll never be enough. Mm-hmm. But again, not once you're doing them, you got to keep doing them because people want them. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, supply and demand, right?
Yeah, supply and demand.
Yeah, and I think a big chunk of that, like I know we've got a good product, but my partner Brian does such a good job with the artwork. Like anytime we put out a new can, we get, you'll get tagged in an Instagram photo where it's somebody that's got, every one of our cans, on the refrigerator above their like garage, or like there's a girl that comes in that's got like a legit she shed. And, like but she's got every can or crowler that we've ever pumped out.
Nice.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Like, it's a weird thing. The whole thing is very strange. It's weird driving around or going someplace and seeing a shirt that like Brian designed, I printed, they've been in your place because they picked it up there, and you're in the middle of nowhere and it's there. Or like, me and the wife been out of town all over the place and seen one of our shirts before.
Nice.
Like that's
very
awesome. Strange.
Yeah, that is very awesome though. Because I mean, it's almost like a solidification of going, man, we made it. Like, like there's some validity to the hard work that you've put into, to where you can see that outside of just, Akron, Ohio. You know what I mean? It's like, Are you printing like the cans, the can art on shirts now?
I was just thinking the same thing.
I don't know I don't know if we've done that one yet. I'm trying to think if we have. I don't think so. Like,
okay,
dude,
you could print like every
the speed
awesome
at which
name.
Oh yeah, dude, the speed at which Brian works with some of this stuff too is kind of insane. We've got we do a lot of beers that have office references.
Yes.
References.
This is why I asked this question.
Yeah. So we've got one called "I'm Not the Fucking Lizard King," or I'm sorry, I'm the fucking Lizard King.
Yes.
Which is obviously from quote from Robert California in there. But when Brian had drawn that can art, it was actually in the middle of the lockdown. He was at the brewery, and he was sitting at the bar, like kind of just doodling on it, probably listening to me rant about some crazy ass conspiracy or something wild, just bitch. That's usually what he does. He just goes, and does his own thing, which I don't think anybody could blame him. Either way, he's like, hey, check this out. And I come over, and he's literally got it done. Done. And I was just like, dude, that's awesome. He goes, yeah, deletes it all and starts over, and like 15 minutes later has a much cleaner like finished product, and it's a high like detail image too. It's not just like a stick figure walking off a cliff. Like, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't think we've put any, going back to if we've put any of that on shirts. I don't think so, because anytime we go to do something like with the anniversary shirts, it's we're doing a shirt for this specific thing.
Yeah,
sure. So, yeah. I was thinking like all the, I've seen most of the cans over the time, that we've been friends, and then I, follow you guys and whatever. And I always see it. I love all the artwork, even back to, and we'll get into this, the grappling,
for Guardians
grappling for Guardians can last year, which was love the artwork for that. And I was thinking, it'd be cool to have like on the back of a shirt, like something in all like the legends of like Magic City Brewing images, because the cans have always been like, they're amazing. Like every time, like, Prison Mike, the Lizard King. And obviously for those of us who are emphatic with The Office, that also helps too. Like
we do some, like we just put out a hazy IPA called What Does Marcellus Wallace Look Like? You know what I mean? Like, and that's straight from Pulp Fiction.
Yes.
And like, it's just funny how some of those names have kind of like came around.
They're great names though, but they're classic like that. Like Pulp Fiction's a great. I'm sure maybe Chad, you can come up with a great, and I know you could too, Jay, a good horror movie line, just something that would fit well for a beer.
There's a line from The Devil's Rejects I've always wanted to use, and it's the I'm gonna mess it up. It's the I'm the devil and I'm here to do the devil's work or something like that. It's right, and it's one of the more like, it's a horrific scene in general, but like it's a scene that'll test your constitution. You know what I mean? Just because it's very brutal. It's just, but I haven't been able to tie that one in. I know, I think we did something with Halloween not too long ago, but I might be wrong there. I don't know. It's so hard to keep track at this point.
Sure. You guys are pumping them out. Well, what do you have? Like, do you just do it? Do you guys just go, hey, we're just going to come up with like a sour, an IPA, whatever? Or do you have a plan? Do you ever plan?
It all kind of depends. So we don't necessarily make beers that like I want to at this point in time. You know what I mean? Like I am that dude. Like, I'm pretty lucky that, I own a brewery and I like hazy IPA. So like we can crack all that out that we want to, but that's not the only thing that folks want to do. Some of the sours I'm cool with, but I wouldn't drink a lot of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like some of the stout beer too is pretty cool, but it just kind of all depends. So usually either me or the other brewer, his name's Vince, me or Vince will get an idea, or Brian will float something out there, and the time for it to go from a thought to actually being brewed is relatively quick. And then it's just kind of working out a name at some point in time. Like the three of us, me, my partner Brian, and then Vince, have a shared note file where we throw names in, and then I'll kind of like, we'll either pull a name from there and create the beer around the name, or the name will get attached to the beer after it's at some point. It's hard to tell, and then I've got a bartender, her name's Kate, where like, she's just a very fun, happy, somewhat ridiculous human. And she comes up, like, she sent me one with the other day called, you should call a beer Mouth Solo. And like, it was one of those, I'm like, I don't even know what to think about that. And of course your brain goes instantly to the gutter, and you're just like, what the hell is this about? And she was like, well, like one of her regulars came in and just said it, and I thought it was weird, so I sent it to you. It's just, like, she's had a couple of them. Yeah, we have a seltzer called Unicorn Joyride. That was from her. Like, whenever we need something that's somewhat happy and somewhat ridiculous, she's the go-to.
The go-to.
Yes.
Yeah, she's the go-to.
Yes.
Being a bartender too, I mean, you meet all kinds of interesting folks.
Oh yeah, dude, she's a saint. She actually goes to CrossFit Legacy.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't like. She doesn't do jiu-jitsu or anything like that, but she is a CrossFit nerd.
Nice.
Very cool.
And she's I'm going to mess up the polite professional title, and I'm not good at stuff like that, but she works with special needs kids.
Yeah. Okay. Right on.
For a local school system. And my nickname for her is Diesel, because she's maybe 5 foot, 120 pounds soaking wet and jacked.
Just stacked. Yeah. That's cool though.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
she's a good person. She's a lot of fun.
Circle back to get into Legacy, man. What? So tell us what happened. What was the transition to get you into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
So December of 19, right around Christmas, I had a little bit of a health scare and was very out of shape, very, very, very overweight. I'm still a fat dude. I'll always have the power belly, but like it just the whole owning your own business, no real accountability for anything had just gotten away from me. I had like I said, I had a little bit of a health scare, and my wife was just like, hey, like we need to do something. Like both of us need to get in shape. So I literally, she said that she found a gym local to do what she wanted to do. I had reached out to a guy that I used to work with, who's now he was at the time like either a single or a 2-stripe white belt. Nate Buckhor. I had reached out to him and was just like, hey man, what's the jiu-jitsu gym you go to? I knew, like, I had done Muay Thai in years prior, but like I was done. That ship had done sailed. Like I just didn't have.
I don't get punched in the face anymore.
No, man. Like I just like it just, and then like not only that, like there had been so much like change compared to where I had came from. I don't know. I needed something different. Like I had tried getting back into that like a couple different times and it just didn't work out for me. So I had reached out to Nate and he was like, hey, I'm going to East Coast and Canton. The guy there's name's Chad, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, just when's the next day you're going? And he's like, Monday. And I'm like, okay, pick me up Monday. What time are you picking me up? And he told me, and like, I guess the big thing was like, I've got accountability now because I know he's going to show up. And like me and him are tight enough to where I knew like, if I didn't, like he would have gave me shit. You know what I mean? Like it would have been one of those. And I can honestly say to this day, the hardest part in the last 18 months or whatever it's been of being there has literally been just that first time walking through the door. You know what I mean? Because like, I don't know, I think it's kind of like a weird thing. Like it's almost like a primal thing. You know, as soon as you walk through the door there, everybody's sizing you up one way or another, whether or not it's the like, who's this big son of a bitch has just walked through the door to the like,
that's what I thought.
Yeah. Or the, oh, great. Another one, you know what I mean? Like that. And it like, to me, it was almost kind of like, comical too. Cause like I walked in, I talked to Chad real quick and filled out, whatever the paperwork was. And I went and sat on the mat. There was no gi that fit me at that time, or at least there. So like, I didn't get a gi for the next like 3 or 4 weeks, which, whatever. But like one of the first conversations on the mat was, I can't remember who it was with Pete, but they were literally talking about how like probably 90% of the people that walk through that door walk in because of either Jocko's podcast or Rogan's podcast.
Yeah.
And like I heard that, I'm like, there's no way. And literally every other person that has walked in since I have been there has referenced Rogan or Jocko in the first 15 minutes of being there. Yeah. Which isn't, I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. If they're getting through the door, that's like great. But yeah, I will say that how those guys talk about jiu-jitsu is probably very different. I think every person that does it has something different to say about jiu-jitsu than the next, but
yeah, and that might gets them there, but then they figure out what jiu-jitsu really is too,
Oh yeah, dude. Like I'm a big guy. You have somebody the size of Russell, who what's he weigh? 160 pounds?
Yeah, maybe a little bigger.
Whips my ass. Like, you know what I mean? It's like having a monkey and a backpack on you. Sure. As soon as like I've tried to like just crush him before, and he smiles, gets his legs around you somehow, and then he takes your arm home with you or with him.
Right.
Yeah.
The bendy guys, as I like to say.
Yeah, man. Well, like, or then there's like Steve, who just he'll just look at me, be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Then goes inverted.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And you'll just keep going inverted, like over and over.
Playing this game now. All right, that's cool.
There's obviously guys that look the part too. Like, that's a bad dude. You look at Pete, he's an athlete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then, but I think 90% of our guys are the most unassuming people in the world, right?
I would say that too. Like, I would even like, Pete's an athlete by looking at him. You know what I mean? But like, Pete's got I don't know if I've ever really heard him swear or anything like that.
He doesn't ever.
No.
Zero.
And like, he's really, really calm, but like he one of the first times I rolled with him, he just cooked me for 6 minutes. And it was one of those where I was like, the like fourth or fifth time he passed my guard, it finally had like clicked in my head. I'm like, he's gonna do this until like I can't breathe.
Yeah.
And he just did it, and I was like, oh, okay. Like the second time I rolled with him, I'm like, all right, he's gonna do that again. No, like he got me down, got past, and he got that Bravo series going. And I can't remember at what point I had finally realized he was like, nah, dude, he's getting this. I'm stuck here. I'm stuck here until he gets this. And like, it's almost like his eyes like go to Hulk. Like his eyes get bigger and bigger and bigger the further he gets along it. But
right.
You know, I don't necessarily know if I would look at him on the street and think, you know, same with you, Chad. I wouldn't look at you on the street and be like, oh, that, you know, bald guy with a beard, he can choke 90% of the motherfuckers that just walked in here in a minute. But
yeah, that is the most unassuming thing for sure.
It is for sure.
That's what makes it so great too. Like not only do you get a great workout, you meet great people, but it's the most unassuming martial art you could be involved with, you know, and do, you know, day to day. And
nobody cares your political affiliation.
Yeah.
Nobody cares what God you do or do not pray to. Nobody cares about your skin color. The biggest thing they might care about is if you showered in the last couple of days, if you washed your gi, and are you trying to kill me or not?
Right.
And that part you'll figure out right away.
Yeah, pretty quickly.
Bump hands. But yeah, I think that, you know, obviously learning the art to get you there, but I truly, and it does keep you there too, but I truly believe it's the family and camaraderie that keeps you there, right? For most of us, you know, and that's probably the same with the brewery, the atmosphere, the family, you know, I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah, like, I mean, the brewery is a little bit different because, like, I tell everybody that works for me, especially specifically behind the bar, like, I want you there because you want to be there and because you want to get paid. You know what I mean? And like, it is a bartender, so it's all off of tips. So, you know, if you don't want to be there, I don't want you there. You know what I mean? Like, I want you, like, it is, I would think it's a pretty cool thing to do. I don't think I've got some like crazy rules or anything like that, but more so like, I don't think we've ever to this day told somebody they couldn't have a day off. Like, we've never forced anybody to have to be there or anything like that.
Right.
Like, I don't know. So you try and do the family thing as much as you can within reason.
Sure.
You know, but yeah, I don't know. It's still a super wild thing.
It's a good thing.
It is, man.
Yeah.
Like, yep. But,
I'm glad to hear that you're doing it too, just because you know, just getting to know you and talking to you over this time that we've been, you know, teammates in the gym, you can always tell, like, you found your passion, man. Like, you found like what your passion is, you know, it's good on you to do that. Like I said in the beginning, it's hard for people to make that transition because they're afraid to give up. The
biggest thing is like, I think the biggest thing is folks need to like truly figure out what's important to them. You know, I was fortunate that my wife hung around, you know, through some of the worst parts of my career. And when like it was finally time to go, she had helped get us in a position where I could go, and then hung out because I didn't pay myself like the first year we were in business. I didn't pay myself.
I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
That's wild. Like, and then the day you write your own check, shit changes. Like, it's super, like, I don't know how to, it's just very strange.
Sure.
So,
but that's good. What's the future hold, man?
I don't know. Like,
for Magic City Brewing, it's
hard to tell. You're going to have to
stay tuned.
I mean, like, I guess the biggest one is, you know, kind of, I'm not trying to plan too far now just because, you know, who knows what's going to go on with the government and all that stuff like that coming up regarding the Rona, without getting into all that, you know, I don't know. So at this point I'm trying to plan like 2 months out, but even that now it's, you know, like we all learned March of 2020, like what you think is your real life on March 15th is very different on the 16th.
Yeah.
So
change is quick.
Yeah, it does. Unfortunately, like that. Yeah, with everything.
Yeah.
Do you guys think you'll ever go ahead, Chad?
I was just gonna say off the jiu-jitsu subject for a minute, Jay. What do you think? What's the popularity you think with brewing? I mean, you see places popping up everywhere, right?
You're talking about breweries?
Yeah.
So that's almost like a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, the more of us there are, the better. I got to be careful here. Where it runs into a problem is if you have people putting out like a piss poor product, and they're, you know, just because you have a just because you worked with the biggest bank from California and you took out $4 million to build this state of the art facility doesn't mean you did your homework and you're putting out a quality product.
For sure.
You know, if you have the more breweries they are closer together, I think it seems that more people like solicit that group of breweries than just show up to one. So the more of us there are, the better they are. It also like, I'm real tight with a brewery from Cuyahoga Falls. You know, we all talk fairly regularly, and, you know, whenever they put out a beer that's killer, you know, it's kind of one of those deals where it's like, dude, I want to like, it's that like push to where like I want to put something out that's, you know, comparable or competes with that, and like vice versa. You know what I mean? I'm sure that goes back and forth, but
do you guys ever do cross? Like they'll run your brews, do you have? Does that happen in the brewing community?
So the state of Ohio is kind of ridiculous when it comes to licensing, just like anything else. So like, I don't have a liquor license. I have a manufacturer's license. So I can, the only alcohol I can have available at my facility right now until the state gives me the okay for our next license. The only thing I can have right now is my product. That's it.
Okay.
We applied for a license and I'm just waiting. Of course, our paperwork got lost because somehow a virus loses papers. But you know, the license that we just applied for will let us have like guest taps and stuff like that. And it'll let us have like wine and ciders and stuff like that.
Oh, cool. Okay. So that kind of opens up the door even more.
Yeah. At first we were trying to just avoid all that, but at some point in time, you kind of got to listen to what folks want. And we don't always have a gluten friendly or gluten free option.
Sure.
Then you'll have the folks that don't drink beer at all. And, you know, if you've got a group of 8 people and one doesn't drink beer, and it's kind of like we can't go there. So,
yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So you just cover your bases. I mean, that's what you're doing.
We've done, going back to your original question too, we've done collabs with other breweries in the past. I know we've got a couple in the works now too. Like that's not an abnormal thing. Like, you know, but those usually just turn out into a good reason to go get drunk with your friends.
Sure. You know what I mean? Sure. Yeah.
So
and you know, there's always brewery. We, you know, down here in Stark County, and our mutual friends over at M&H Beans that you've guys done.
Mike and Hannah.
Yeah. Mike and Hannah.
Great people.
They've been, there's another brewery down here. I don't want to name them, but locally, that they've been working with as well. So I was wondering, like, how many breweries do you guys talk to? Like,
a lot of them. So you're probably more than likely talking about Codex.
I am. Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it.
No. You're good.
In case it was a.
Now, the truth be told, there's only like one group that I don't speak to, and that has to do with the political dirtbags that are surrounded by. So
okay, I got.
They're not them. No, the Jason, who's the owner brewer at Codex, is a good dude. Like, I know him. We had talked about doing a couple of things to get like his people into my brewery, my people into his brewery. Nice. Even so, but like, yeah, but Mike and Hannah are phenomenal human beings.
They are.
That's another like jiu-jitsu thing. The community of people in jiu-jitsu are, for the most part, awesome individuals. Like, you know, they came up for our we use their coffee for the kitchen. Use their coffee for Sunday morning for brunch and stuff like that. And you know, that's awesome. I drink it at home. They came up for the Saturday of our 4th anniversary. They ended up
little dad speakers in my Yeti.
Yeah. I like Hondo. That's like my favorite coffee. Yeah.
Hondo is good.
It is. But they came up for the 4th anniversary and they hung out with like me, my wife, you know, the chick that runs our tap room. She's a goofball. Her name's Chris. You know, we all just sat around and had a couple of beers, shot the shit. You know, it's awesome to know them on a personal level and not just
sure.
Like, hey, you have a product I like.
Not just business. Right. There's also that which go ahead, Jay.
Mike taught me some of the first power belly jiu-jitsu stuff too. I was in like maybe a month, and like I had just got my first gi and all that, which is almost funny to think about now because I've got several. But he had showed me a couple different ways to get out from bottom and like some stuff like that, and paper cutter, which I to this day use more of I don't use for a submission, but I use it as an annoyance to try and get something else going.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, good people. I just texted him the other day. It came up on my Facebook memories of him getting his blue belt probably 4 years ago or so.
Oh, really?
And nice. I said, hey, man, when you coming back? And he's like, that sounds tempting. They just have so much going on, They're trying to, so we'll get them back,
Yeah, but like there again, that's two folks that got tired of doing the working for the man, and whatever, both of them came from different backgrounds there, and they're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And I'd rather hear somebody talk about that and have that conversation than have somebody tell me, hey, I work for such and such financing and blah, blah, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy story. So Mike and I worked together like 23 years ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I didn't know this because I've never seen him with the big beard. I've only ever seen him like clean shaved. And then he texted me one day and he was like, dude, did you used to line cook at Bennigan's? And I'm like, yeah, man. Like when I was in college. And he was like, yeah, I thought it was you. He was like, I'm Mike, remember? And I was like, holy crap, are you kidding me? I was like, now it all came back. It like came rushing back right away. And he was a server at the time and I was line cook, and so it was cool. It was just,
I don't know why, but I'm playing the movie Waiting in my head right now. Them working at Bennigan's.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, especially the scene where they reflavor.
Yes, reflavor the food.
Oh yeah, yep.
3-second rule.
The Fremunda cheese.
Yep.
That's actually a super funny movie. I'm gonna have to go watch that again because
great movie.
Dane Cook is right, isn't he in it? Or
yeah,
is it, I thought so.
Yeah. We were actually just talking about me and my mom were just talking about him last night. We're in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, at our camp down here. And the last time we were down here, my mom and both my kids got stung by a bunch of hornets.
Oh man!
My mom had a real bad reaction to it. The whole thing, had to take her to the ER and all that. And while I was trying to drive her, air quotes, out of the holler, her body, you watched it like swell. Like it was pretty frightening. But while I'm driving, I'm having this like, oh shit, I'm actually going this fast on said road because they're not good roads and they're not finished or well maintained roads. But I also have that line from Dane Cook's first like CD that he put out where it was "fuck bees."
Yeah,
that, and it just kept going through like replaying. Yeah, man, it was kind of comical, but I had just told her about that last night.
That's hilarious.
Oh, good old Dane Cook.
He's supposed to be coming locally, I think, isn't he? Chad, we were just talking about in the gym. Someone mentioned in the gym that he's going to be coming. He's doing local. Yeah, he's going to do he's doing like a tour again. Like,
okay.
So, I joked and said we should all.
Kind of cool.
Right. It's like we should get a big group of guys and bunch of all these gym rats, a bunch of jujitsu guys. Let's go watch a comedy show and go out.
Oh yeah, there's no way anything bad would happen there.
Not at all. That's what it said. After I said it, I was like, "Oh, do you hear yourself speaking out loud?"
Yeah. I don't know, man. That the group at the East Coast is like I said, a pretty like good, chill, group. You know what I mean?
Even the younger guys, right? Even the young, they're pretty chill.
It's funny. Like, it's weird to me how many people you see come in and they're gone after like a couple of weeks. And the reason why I say that that's like weird is because like nobody does anything
to
like,
you know
what I mean? Like, if anything, I feel like everybody's almost like overly nice. It's oh, okay. Like you're going to be this kind to me before you take my arm home with you. Like, I got it. Right. But like, I almost wonder if like they just don't like they come in, do it a little bit, and they just don't think it's for them, or like I
think that's a lot of it.
Yeah.
I think you have to be used to. You have to. That grind is hard, right? I mean,
there's something, and this just happened with Pete the other day. Pete's obviously a very talented black belt, and I'm a moron 3-stripe white belt that gets crushed a lot. But something weird the other day had happened where Pete had obviously, I always start seated because I'm afraid to fall, but Pete had passed me, was inside, and like 3 times back to back to back, he got my gi behind my head to start running that Bravo series. And the 3rd time he did it, the speed in which he had done all 3 of those was like, okay, I'm doing something very wrong here. Like to the point where this, like, I get that he is a stud and I get that I'm not, but like, I need somebody to tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
But going back to that, like, it's not for everybody. I think if you don't have that general like curiosity to like, yo, dude, how did you just like mess me up that quick, that easily, you know, combined with the like, hey, I'm going to try and get you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've used, you know, Terry and I have talked on other shows, and, you know, jiu-jitsu isn't for everyone. And we've talked, you know, we think it is for everyone, but everyone might not be for it. Right. It can definitely be for everybody, but it's tough, man. It's that grind. And, you know, you being a big guy walking in that first day and somebody small kicking your butt, that takes a lot to come back.
Oh,
I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That takes a lot.
Prior to all this, one of my favorite things to do was to show up for the Sunday open mats. And I only got to do it like 2 or 3 times where this worked out. There was it was like an all female class on like one Sunday a month or every other Sunday, something like that. Yeah. Those women went after it. Like it was one of, like, you just show up and just be like, damn, like, and it was, you know, it's wild to see. And then you just see, like, you know, more often than not, you see the more experienced, smaller person, like straight up thump, you know, the larger, less experienced person that, you know, looks like he's got an astronomical, you know, deadlift and bench. And then they have no answer.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it is, I mean, and that's what makes it such a great, sport, martial art, because of that. You know, it doesn't matter how big you are, and you can be successful both ways. You know, you can be you can be big and successful, you can be small and successful. And then at East Coast, you know, Chad's talked about this before, like that's the whole goal, like making the atmosphere for you to want to be there, you know, to want to come back each and every time. And I've said this before, like my direction or my outcome coming in the door was people wanted me to succeed, you know?
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, that's awesome. Like they want me to be good at this, not just for myself. So that makes me want to even come more. And then obviously it's gotten more and more family and became really good friends with people and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's cool.
I wish I would have found either East Coast or jiu-jitsu way earlier than I had. I don't necessarily know if I would have been ready for it.
Sure.
You know, at the same time, but like, especially with my previous career with law enforcement, anybody, like, I feel like this is something that LEOs as a whole screw up, is they think they know how to handle themselves. They think they know how to handle themselves usually because the DT room, the defensive tactics room, is for the most part a joke. You know, you've got, you know, when I was in, you had a 40-hour in-service week once a year. So a training once a year, mind you, you deal with the public on their worst day more often than not. And the only training that you are really, you know, given, you know, you can find stuff outside of what you normally would do, but the training that your department gives you is literally, at the time it was 40 hours. I think now it's even much shorter. So out of that 40 hours, you have to cover everything from what's changed in the courts to shooting to just basic tactics and defensive positions and stuff like that. That's not teaching you anything. So if you think you know what's going to happen in a fight, you've never been in a fight, because what you think is going to happen and what's going to happen are two very, 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 very different things.
Sure. Yeah. But and it's something, we'll say, as simple, right, as controlling another human body, right? You think you can just grab somebody. It's not going to happen that way. It's so, and especially with adrenaline and all that stuff, man.
Not in real life action.
Oh,
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
You know,
I could just grab that person and take him to the ground. No.
No. Well, like, and here's another thing. Every fight a cop's into, there's a gun there every time.
Yeah.
Meaning the cop brought it.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So you now have to you have to make sure you know how to protect your weapon so it doesn't get pulled out of the holster by the other person that's there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot going on there, and with everything that's going on today surrounding law enforcement, the days of, oh shit, I'm in a knockout drag out fight with person that's committed whatever small or large crime, like the days of like knocking them out and being able to explain are gone.
Those are gone.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep. Right. Like, no, that's not what the public, regardless of what anybody thinks about it, that's what the general public doesn't want anymore. And your job is to, serve the public. If the public doesn't want that, you got to find better options. I mean, look at the group of guys from the little burb close to us. They all train, excuse me. They all train at East Coast, and then most of that small department trains there. And if memory serves, I believe they had explained that they had taken it was either the chief or the mayor. They had done like a little demo with them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then showed the effectiveness of jiu-jitsu in a law enforcement setting. And they had taken this to the mayor, to city council, or what have you. And I believe they've got their monthly dues covered or something to that degree. That, you know what I mean? Like,
you're totally right. Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome. It takes a big, it's a pretty big thing, especially from a department so small. You don't see any of the larger departments doing that.
Right.
No, yeah. Yeah. I wish we probably have the most, I know we do. We have the most law enforcement we've ever had right at this moment. We probably have 30 to 40. If I had to guess, there's some fire guys in there that are SWAT too, that you would count. So, it's growing. I think it's still educating, and, that can kind of lead us into what Jay started with the Grappling for Guardians. We can talk about that a little bit too.
Yeah. Tell us how that all came about, Jay.
Well, I guess the big thing was when I had walked away from law enforcement, I had thought that it would just be a clean cut. You know what I mean? I didn't really think, I didn't think a lot of people would keep in touch. I didn't think I wouldn't say that I don't miss that job at all, but there are parts of it that, like, I kind of feel bad walking away from it. You know what I mean? You're leaving the fight that others are still doing. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
So my way to kind of help was, and Nate, I had referenced earlier, Nate had, me and him were kind of talking about, hey, how could we get more people here? And we had decided, talk to Chad about doing a beer where we send, however many people we can. 5 just ended up being the number. We could send 5 local law enforcement officers to a year at East Coast. That relieves the financial burden from them, to where, like, hey man, like, whether you're a dude, a chick, you've been a cop a month to 20 years, like, just let us know that you want to do it. We'll figure it out, and you'll get a year of training, and hopefully you get bit by the bug and you show up and you keep going. Like, I wish I would have had the year and a half worth of jiu-jitsu I have now 10 years ago when I was in the midst of it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Even from, like, to take it another step further, me and one other guy, between the two of us, we've got 5 hand injuries, and this was in less than 10 years. The two of us together, we had 5 hand injuries, and it was either 5 hand injuries and 2 surgeries, or 5 hand injuries and 1 surgery on a hand.
Jeez.
That almost tells you right then and there that something's got to change. And both of us were pretty proactive guys. We went after it and did our thing, where if we could have probably ended up with the same and or better result, with the training we have now.
Yeah.
So that kind of, that got you into, it's almost like, giving back. You're giving back to something you did have a passion in. You don't spend 10 years of your life being an LEO and going, "God, this sucked for 10 years." I mean, you learned a ton. You made a lot of friends.
I bet you'd be surprised how many people are actually in that mindset, though, Terry.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, because especially with all the stuff that's going on now,
right.
You can't get away from it. And law enforcement had gone. It's not necessarily a career anymore. It's almost a lifestyle. Like anybody that is a cop, I truly do hope they have things that aren't cop related that they do. I don't care what hobby it is. I don't care if it's like they play guitar or they enjoy manicuring their grass. As long as they have something else,
another outlet. Yeah.
Like the worst thing I think you can do, and I think this happens to everybody, is you get into law enforcement, all your friends are cops.
Yeah.
Like, I get how that happens, but like, there's more. At the end of the day, being an LEO is still a career. It's not a
right.
Yeah, but
it's a lifestyle and a career. I mean, it can kind of go hand in hand. It becomes that way. I get it.
Yeah,
that's kind of like jujitsu. See, I go to jujitsu. I got involved with jujitsu. Now all my friends do jujitsu, and then when I go anywhere else, I don't fit in.
And somehow magically everything that you do in life you can relate back to jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Absolutely. Probably. Yeah. Wife, girlfriend, kids, everybody's sick of hearing about it.
Right.
Yeah.
All the time.
Oh yeah, man. Like, instead of that one day at band camp, it was, that one day at jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
All
the time.
I never thought that would have gone down that, but
you and me both.
Yeah, we were the original date we had set for Grappling for Guardians. We've got to move, so my guess is it'll be sometime super early September, super late August. Just family and time. It just seems like this year is flying by too.
It is,
and it's got to be because last year drugged so bad, and then this year, we've got more and stuff coming back, and I think everybody's done listening to the media as a whole, but everybody's trying to get a year and a half's worth of life smashed into right now.
Right. Like over a couple months, you're just like, wow, yes. Like, and everything runs together. It's going so fast.
Mm-hmm.
So good, man. So Guardians or Grappling for Guardians is going to happen again this year. Mm-hmm. You guys are going to have an event. Tell everyone how they can find that event.
There's a Facebook profile called Grappling for Guardians. It just needs to be used properly, which we'll get that squared away this week. A lot of it, I'm sure, will get pushed out through both the Magic City socials, and I'm sure Chad will push it through the East Coast socials as well.
Sure.
I think we're going to have, between me and Nate had talked about it, and I know I had talked about it with you, Chad. I think we're going to have people apply at East Coast, so they at least have to walk in, see.
Okay, that's a better.
I think that would be good too, because you guys have a really nice facility. It's not like you're going into a dungeon.
Right.
And that might also be a good icebreaker too, to where they don't have that first day jitters like I did.
Yeah.
That could also be crazy there, but.
No, that's a good idea. I like that a lot. And get, face to face. I can talk to them a little bit. Who, they can kind of they can see or feel that atmosphere we have, and
you maybe meet some of the people. Yeah.
Watch a class. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I have lanky and standard kimonos are on board again to donate the gis for whoever wins. So
okay, that's awesome.
Yeah,
it is. Cool. Maybe we'll talk about screen printing on them too.
Oh, we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We've got some other stuff there, but
is it a donut like holding out like two? Like for
I don't know.
Two?
I think we're gonna.
I'm kidding.
No. We might do something a little bit different. I know. I'd like to stick to a sour again this year, just because they're so well liked. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of. If we did an IPA, like the IPA people would be happy. I mean, regardless, it's gonna sell out one way or another, but like you try and do that. The donut thing was cool to do last year. Maybe we'll do, an everything but the kitchen sink thing this year. I don't know. I'll figure something out. It just won't be plain and boring.
Right. You guys don't do plain and boring.
No, and if we are doing something that's boring, it's usually like a shit stir type thing. So
sure. Awesome, man.
Yep, gotta stir the pot.
Cool. Chad, what else? What else you got for Jay?
I don't think we covered a lot, man. What?
one question, and Jay, you've listened to our podcast, man.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want your legacy to be, brother? Because you already covered what jiu-jitsu means to you, so I'm not going to ask you that.
Yeah.
But I always like to see, like, you've made a huge transition, from LEO to brewmaster, brew owner.
Ooh, I don't like that word.
I do.
Do not like that word, master. I don't like
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, something like that. How about just human? I'm not a real big like legacy person in general. My legacy is my kids.
Right on.
I've got a 9-year-old son that's ridiculously smart, and the world hasn't got to him yet. A 3-year-old daughter that it's going to be tough to keep her out of prison. She's sweet as can be, full of life and all that. Yeah. Like, I'm a hobbyist at best when it comes to jiu-jitsu, so that's not a legacy thing for me. Like, and at some point in time too, I'm sure the brewery will go, away. Whether it's, it just goes through, maybe someday the brewery thing will just fade and people aren't into it anymore. Like, you could see that, or, maybe, I outlive the brewery, which would be kind of wild to think about, but yeah. That's,
they said that about the radio too, man. They said when the TV came, the radio was going to go away. So breweries aren't going anywhere, and you're doing a good job, man. Don't sell yourself short.
I guess the thing for me is like, my previous career was such an identity thing to where like the brewery is, it is awesome. It's something I deeply, truly do care about. But at the end of the day, it's just a building where work happens. You know what I mean? It's not my not me and my wife's crazy ass kids.
And what's awesome, because circle back to what you said in the beginning, man, like you went from LEO to doing this because you wanted more time with your family. You wanted more times with your kids. So you're spot on. I mean, you're right there. That's what you want. That's what your legacy is. Be a great father, be a great human being, be a good friend, do what you love to do. And, that's what's going to be when people talk about Jay Graham, they're going to be like, yo, man, he was this. He was a good father. He did what he needed to do, and he was happy, and he made the people around him happy, and
he's got a badass lasso guard.
Right. Yes.
For a fat guy with a power belly, I'm getting better with that.
Like, yes, sir.
I do.
That's awesome.
I always, to me, that's still to this day, it's hilarious when I went to Hilton Head, I had rolled at a gym down there twice, and the guy that ran it ran the school academy, what have you. When I sat down, grabbed his sleeve and threw my leg over, the look on his face was like, did you just do that? And I was like, yes, I did.
Yes, I did.
but like, it's always, that is kind of funny. So,
that's great. It's awesome.
It is also hilarious how many people either can't get around it or how many people can get around it, like breathing. So
it's one or the other, right?
Like
there's no in between.
Like Mike Rockford, I don't even know why I try. That dude just won't, bam. All right, so that was a waste of 4 seconds of my life.
It's awesome.
But right on.
All right, brother. Well, shout out anything you want. Anybody, anything you want.
Social media pages.
Yeah. Where can people get at you?
I'm pretty sure the website's mcbcisacult.com. Social media is all Magic City Brewing Company. Check out M&H Beans. They're great people, good East Coast folks too. Other than that, I'm sure, everybody will be around on the mat and say, hey, you sounded like a moron.
Nah.
So
that's what everyone tells Chad. They're like, why did you ever team up with Terry? He sounds like a moron.
Don't after you apply Battle Bomb, don't go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I mean,
don't go to the bathroom.
Jay's we've had some talks about Battle Bomb. Did you get it in your eye once too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. My evening habit to help me go to sleep has messed up whether or not I've done like one of these. That was not good. Or actually I did this once, which was worse.
Oof.
And then oh crap, I just, downed like 32 ounces of water. I've got to go to the bathroom, and there's a thumbprint and pointer fingerprint that burns in the worst place known to man.
Yeah.
So warning
awesome
to
stuff.
Very awesome stuff.
Awesome stuff, but wash your hands.
Yeah. And even after you wash your hands, you probably want to do it a couple more times.
Yeah.
Warning.
Yeah.
Battlebomb.com. Limitless 20.
Yep.
Wash your hands after use.
Yes. Yeah.
Right on, man. Cool. Well, thanks, man, for hanging out with us, chatting.
Nope.
telling
Thanks
us
for the
everything.
chat.
Yeah. Excited to see you on the mat, man. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
That'll happen sooner than later.
Yes, for sure. All right, my brother. We'll see you. All right.
All right.
Later on.
Bye.
Hey everyone, we hope you enjoyed the show today. Remember, go out there and check out all our sponsors. That's rollamongus.com, battlebomb.com. At checkout, put in Limitless20 to get a 20% discount on all products. We appreciate it very much. Not only will you be supporting them, but you'll be supporting the Limitless Radiocast podcast. It helps us come back each and every week, bring content to you guys and everything that you do. We love you guys. We're appreciative of you guys. We thank you for all the support. You guys take care. Come back next week.